All right, welcome to Intuition to Income 2022. We are so happy you're here. And I've got some sisters on the line with me. We were talking about almost feeling like we're at camp, just having fun, opening our hearts, and just sharing what we know, where we've been, and hopefully inspiring you to trust that part of you that knows your intuition. So today I want to introduce Tammy and Brooke. I just know them by first name because they're so personally connected to my heart. So if you ladies want to introduce who you are at the deepest soul level, at the professional level, and really why you said yes to being on the show.
Hmm.
Brooke, you go first.
I would say who I be is someone who loves to connect others, not only to each other, but to the divine. And why I said yes is I have felt always guided, and tapping into intuition is something that's becoming more and more in mainstream. So if I could be part of that, um I can't claim to be, know everything, but if I could share a part of my story and Tammy can share a part of her story, and it helps others trust themselves a little bit more so that they can live in their highest frequency, their highest joy. Because when we're all in our joy, we're in flow, and then that emanates to others and the ripple effect. So then if we could just all just be a little happier, and it doesn't mean we won't have bad days or shadow days. It's just my yes is intuition is a topic that I love to speak about. I love to speak about these types of things that can be of help without any attachment or any claim to know anything. So,
I love that. The curiosity, the exploration, and just let it open.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's so beautiful. I love that. Tapping into your intuition is key because we know the answers, right? When we get still and quiet enough to receive who we really are, which is infinite, we really can be, do, and have anything that our heart desires, right? That's aligned with love, right? Like I told somebody the other day, it's like, I don't necessarily want to be Michael Jordan because I'm me, right? So I have the skills that I need for me to fill my purpose, just like everybody else does. So yeah, I love that. So Tammy, love, the other side of this partnership going on over here.
Yeah, so I think at my core, I love to learn about things. I'm like a lifelong learner. I learn one thing and I want to learn something else, and I think it helps. It makes your whole interior and exterior change every time you learn something new. And we've had the good fortune to work with so many people through our career and relationships. As Brooke mentioned, we're both connectors. So we help people create joint venture and affiliate partnerships. And through that, we've been able to work with some amazing people in the personal development, health, and wellness industries. And anytime we find out about a method that is really working, or a person who is super genuine and who is really walking, their talk, we love to share that information with other people because we want everybody to thrive. We want everybody to benefit. We want everyone to be able to up level their transformation, and to be able to do it in a way that's easy, because it doesn't have to be challenging or difficult. You can up level in an easier way. And so I think that's why I said yes, is because we want to share the knowledge that we've learned, and we want other people to benefit from it. So because we're excited that it's worked for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny how I was sharing with you and Brooke before we got on is I feel your energy without even saying words, right? So when you say up level, it's a new vibration, it's a higher frequency. And I know we're going to go into more just self-love and ways to create the foundation for us to be that container, right? Of that just great light flowing through us. And I love that you and Brooke are so into the joy and the happiness of it, right? Because that high vibe is what attracts, right? So, is there anything that you want to just kind of start opening that door into greater self love where people can trust themselves deeper, right? Because one of my first classes in the club is you are the light, like recognizing that as you identify with that, your world can start to change, right? So I would love for you to just share, how you guide people into greater self-love and maybe like one or two keys to that, that just helps people really embody it.
I can start by saying that staying in the present is really key to like cultivating that self-love. I think a lot of times we have a tendency to look at ourselves in the past or to look too far in the future. at what we're becoming or where we want to go or where we want to be, and judging anything that we did wrong in the past, or not celebrating enough of our wins, that we're not focusing right here on the future, and we're not focusing on what's right in front of us. And we should always be looking for what's in our highest excitement, what's in our joy, what's going to make me the happiest in this moment. And you can constantly come back to yourself just by putting your hand over your heart and then saying, what would make me the happiest right now? I like to do a meditation with people. I call it connecting to your forgotten child. And Abby, you're probably going to like this because it kind of ties in with the charitable organization and where your heart is going with what you're doing with the children. And it's about connecting back to the core of who you were as a child at 5 years old and 6 years old, and being able to live with that joy and wonder and awe. And how does this work? And I wonder what's going to happen if I do this. And all of the things that came naturally to you, the intuition that came naturally to you before you got your hand burned on the stove, or before you tried to cross the road and didn't look both ways and you got yelled at, or before whatever it was. I got my hand smashed in a drawer when I was little, and I have like a huge memory of that. That was like one of my youngest memories, because it was it was like a trauma that happened. And then it makes you nervous to go out and try things. It makes that fear come in and leads you away from that intuitive side. So I think always come back to center, connect with your heart, and think about that little child inside of you and say, hey, what does she want to do today? What would be the most fun for her today?
Mm-hmm. I love that. Brooke, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
When Tammy mentioned coming back to the present, sometimes it just clicks a memory of I once did this workshop called Committed Impulse. It was a workshop within a workshop. It was just a taster. And Josh Pais, he's an actor. You can IMDb him. He's been in a lot of things, and he does this workshop for actors. And then he's also involved in the personal development world. And one of the things he had us do when we were just kind of walking around and dancing and moving and noticing when we would sway our memory, he'd say, I'm back. I'm back. I love the heart, but then it just reminded me of that I'm back, because it's so easy to go and future trip or back trip. And the other thing I felt guided to say is even with the most experience, I think that it's so easy for comparison to come in. And I don't know who said it, but they said comparison is the thief of joy, right? So when we notice that we're going into that compare and despair, as a reset to go back into that self-love, if something is, out there and it's, causing that, like, oh, how come I'm not there yet? They're doing it and that's good for them. And, Brooke, Abby, and Tammy, it will work for them, and then you have a social media and you're like, oh my God, I've been doing this so long. And they just started. And even with all the experience, it could still find its way in that little, you leave a little window open and the bugs come flying in. So just knowing that it's either admire and inspire, and that's available to you when you see that, when you're in that moment, or when I'm in that moment. I'll speak from the I statement. So that's another thing that felt like I wanted to say, because there's so much noise.
Yeah.
You go on social and it's all a projected perfection and, an edited life. And that the messy is also part of the self-love, that it is joy and fun and rainbows and bubble baths. But those moments of, I was on the phone with someone today and she was saying how she's also noticing that her self-love is about the recovering faster from the shadow moments and the recovery and the resiliency, so that all of it is part of life, so that it's not this like carrot stick in the self-help world. We think it's supposed to be like perma nirvana all day long. And yes, we can choose the next level of vibration and that frequency, but that to have that self-compassion of wherever I am right now is exactly where I need to be. And it's divine perfection, and perfectly divine perfection.
Yeah. I love that you shared that, Brooke. I knew there was intuitively a reason I asked you to add, because I knew there was something more. And I think taking a moment to be grateful for everything. Like I woke up this morning and like looked at my prayer. I'm like, I'm so grateful in my home. Like there's all these things in the present moment that if we stop and we're really present, we'll see what we have. And that's the same thing with intuition. It's within you, right? So if you become aware of it, you have everything you need. So when you're trusting that guidance, it's actually going to take you naturally to that next level from within you. And so I just love that. I'm back, right? I'm here, I'm present, I'm ready, let's go, right? And for me, there's this idea of, oh, like it'll be even better in the future. And yeah, maybe, but like, what about the now? Like, let's not miss this beautiful conversation and this beautiful life right now, you know? So I think that I needed to hear that. So thank you for just reminding me of like, yeah, it's all here, you know, and we just get to naturally evolve. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Tammy? This is fun having both of you.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that I'm guided to share is that, I mean, along the lines with what Brooke was talking about with comparing, um, is knowing that you're on your own journey and your journey is different from everybody else's. You have unique talents, you have a unique path, and as Brooke said, wherever you are in that moment, you're in the perfect place. So if you can keep it in um, the present moment and just following that path of joy and intuition, you know, it's going to lead you down your perfect path. And whatever choice you make today is great. And you can go down that path. You can always backtrack. You can always change. You can always go a different direction. And I've been nervous. I shouldn't say well, I have been hesitant in the past to really make those changes quickly. And I think that's part of my evolution and transformation, that when I know that I'm going that direction, that I'm able to say, okay, I'm not going the right direction anymore. And I don't have to stay on that path
Mm-hmm.
and keep going down. I can correct it more quickly and say, okay, that wasn't good. I need to stop doing that project and I need to go back over here.
Right.
And don't be afraid to let something go, because you're making room for something better to come in
Yeah.
and take its place.
Yeah. I love that you said that. So true. I too have worked with that. And it's like the easier you let something go, the more full you can become with what does feel good. And the other thing I was thinking right before is when you're feeling good, you are on the right path. So actually allow yourself to feel good. Like following your intuition is going to feel good, but it's the blocks of the mind. Sometimes they're like, ooh, I don't think I can have it that good or feel that good. So Brooke, I don't know if you want to add to that, because sometimes it's scary to live in joy, even though we all want it and it is our natural state. The mind can kind of be like, is this okay? You know?
I have a statement that I love to say, and it's uh follow the good instead of the should.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe somewhere out in the frequency is saying it. I've never heard someone say it, but whoever else is saying it too, good on you. It's an abundant universe, right? There's room for everybody. And I
Totally.
think that it's um like what Tammy said, is giving yourself permission to change course, change direction. I think from my own path, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I have a lot of interests. I can get bored very easily. And in the past, I would, the comparison of like, why couldn't I just want to be a lawyer? You have this path, this, that, and this, that, and then you're a lawyer. And that's, and I think that it's okay to, there's sometimes you'll be going in a direction and then you'll be led in another direction. And like Tammy said, as I mature, I just trust those moments more, even though sometimes when it's like a change in course very quickly, it can be like, wait, I thought I was going this way. Why am I going that way? And it's like, okay, I trust. And I'm not saying that when I say let go of the should to follow the good and not do the should, it's just bringing more fun and play to the obligation. So it doesn't mean you're not going to do your QuickBooks or you're not going to do the dishes, although if I can outsource it, I will. Um, thank you, honey. Um, but I'm just saying that it's like, how can you bring more joy to the mundane? And then it's also okay if you're not feeling good, and giving ourselves permission to not feel good versus making it wrong. I guess the whole thing is to get out of judgment about anything and not make any of it wrong. And that's the fastest way to flow. And, Justin Fairman and Jackie Nechtel, which we'll talk about in the Self Love, Self Care Symposium, we interviewed so many people on the topic of self love, but they really, really contributed to me. I don't know if it's been in your observation, Abby, but in my observation, I've been seeing a lot of grief. I've gone through my own grief over the last few years. And sometimes when we're in grief, it's hard to access the tools. You're like, tools, where are you? Wait, where are those 7 steps to nowhere? I don't know where they went. I can't. It's not there. And when I went through the first passing of a friend, and I was like, I am scared that I'm never going to get out of this. I'm like, I'm somebody that like teaches this stuff, like should, making myself wrong, judgment, the whole thing. And they said, radical acceptance is the fastest way to flow and getting your way back. And once they said that, I like calmed down. Because to me, to feel that grief and feel that depression, I'm like, what if I stay here?
Yeah.
And not want to feel those feelings. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what I felt guided to say.
No, it's so perfect. And you're not the first person that said it. In the last couple of days, it was about non-judgment too. And that's like the intuitive success coaching process is foundation, no judgment. So it's like, it just keeps coming up because we all need to hear it, because it does connect you to the divine, that pure unconditional love. And that's the thing that was coming through as you were talking is, or Tammy was talking, it's like the divine's going to guide you, and it might shift, but if you trust that higher infinite, you can call it life force connection, whatever you want to call it, it's moving you through people, circumstances, events, all these things, right, for the greatest expansion of love. So I think for me, I've learned to surrender to that, and then you see the magic of everything happening, and you don't have to control it, right? Because you're one with it. I think that's the beauty part of self-love. It's like, oh, I am one with, my creator, with life, with others, because I'm connected to that frequency of love. So yeah, I know we're going to give people the way they can get that course, which is amazing, that you guys are offering. I'm just so grateful to it. Wow. I'm just taking a moment to feel, if everybody just wants to tune in, notice your frequency a little different, a little higher. Notice how you feel lifted just by being in the conversation, just by being here. And that's what I'm talking about with energy. You start to feel it, and then other people feel you. And that frequency is going to attract, usually, if your intention is pure, a greater amount of money, right? Because you're coming from this place of love and service and being guided from your intuition. So I wanted to ask both of you how you connect to your intuition, because we're talking about intuition and self-love, but what is your way of actually knowing it's your intuition, connecting in, and then following your guidance to that greater income, right? Because obviously that's what the show's about.
I can say that one of the ways that I connect to my intuition is I have several practices. They're my self-love and self-care practices. I start the morning with meditation and journaling, and I love my oracle cards, so I do a card reading for myself every day. So that's one great way that I can come back to. The cards usually will reflect back to me what I'm feeling, or will, an image or something that I read in the guidebook will trigger, okay, that's what it is. And the minute I read it or see it, I know that's what I'm feeling. And even though I know that I can connect to myself without the cards, and I can connect to that intuition, the cards help me sort through those emotions and those feelings, and to be able to work them out and to pull them forward. It's funny how we can a lot of times see that very clearly for someone else, and it's not as easy for ourselves. It's not like this, aha, light, bright, shining moment where you can actually see what the clear path is for you. Sonia Choquette is the author of several books. We did an interview with her on trusting your vibes and activating your intuition. she's amazing. I just reread one of her books, listened to it on audio in her voice, and it was so much better
I'm
listening to
just
it in
going
her
like this,
voice.
Tammy, because I actually trained with her and she endorsed one of my products. So I'm like, oh my God, we're so connected. Like, yeah.
She's so awesome. So like in the interview that I did with her at the time, she's like, I'm like, well, I'm on this path. I'm getting vibes to go this way, but I don't know if it's the right path. And she like guided me through this whole process. And it was about, just taking a breath to relax your system. Deep breath in, blowing it out like a birthday candle, getting centered, and getting into a space where you can hear, where you can listen, and asking the question of, is this true for me? Is this good for me? And you can also use other words like, is this light for me, or does it feel heavy? Does it feel more robust or freeing, or does it feel more like sludge or walking through a fog? So you can kind of tune into those feelings, and maybe you close your eyes and get a feeling of something and it's a negative image or a song that you don't like, or maybe you get confirmation that it's a yes because you get an image of something that you think is beautiful or bright or something that inspires you, or your favorite song comes on the radio. I'm always, listening out for those cledons that show up. And then you can also listen for your own inner voice and those messages, and you'll know that it's intuition talking, because it's always going to be supportive. It's always going to be loving. It's always going to be kind. And it may tell you the truth and some things you don't want to hear sometimes, but it's not going to be snarky, and it's not going to be negative, and it's not going to be fear-based. So I hope that helps.
100%. You articulated it beautifully. Beautifully.
Yeah.
Beautifully. Good job. I have nothing else to say at the moment. Go ahead, Brooke.
I mean, I think Tammy just did a mic drop. So my duty is done here. For me, I write. I write in my journal. That's how I hear myself. I mostly hear yeses and nos, or I feel. Clairaudient and clairsentient, and I think that Tammy expressed it beautifully. Like for me, I feel it as a lightness. And I journal because I need to write it out so that I can see it and hear, or I'll write questions down. And so I could hear the answer. Or a lot of times Tammy and I will go back and forth because the way that I'm designed, I already know the answer, but sometimes I need somebody else to ask me the question so I can remember what I already know to be true. But I don't always have a committed listener. I mean, my dog's right here. He's pretty good, but he's always a committed listener. But my journal really, really helps me get to that place. Sometimes I'll do something like muscle testing, but I really genuinely just ask, and I feel it as a lightness, and I just know it to be true. And sometimes I won't get an answer. So for those who are listening and they're like, but I didn't get anything, that chorus line song, I felt nothing. And then you're like, what's wrong with me? But nothing is an answer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Even though we don't like that. Remember Tammy talked about the answer you don't want?
Yeah.
Sometimes the impatient control freak within me wants the answer, but doesn't get the answer.
Yeah.
And to be okay with, okay, there's nothing to do here other than to be patient.
Right, right, right. I'm curious. So you both said you use journaling. I do it as well. But Tammy, you said something about you have the feelings come in, and then I feel like there's an energy of like presence that comes in and transforms the energy. So I'm curious about how you're specifically using journaling to maybe clear out the energies and then get guidance, because like I can sit and just journal a bunch of things, but then what? So like, is there a way that you're journaling that's actually leading you to this empowerment through your intuitive guidance? If you guys can.
Yeah, I need more guidance. Like I don't just get this stream of consciousness and flow or downloads like people talk about. So for me, I have to be guided. That's why I love guided meditation. I use a lot of guided meditations from Colette Baron Reed, from Sonia Choquette, from you know, a lot of different people in the industry. And I don't like to do a lot of the same meditations over and over again because I already know what's coming. And if I can listen to something new where someone's taking me through this journey and I can see how I will respond to that, it feels more natural to me. Unless I'm doing something on forgiveness, which I know that process, and it's kind of funny because that's not a, you know, it's like, oh, that's forgiveness, that can be scary, and I know what's coming, then I love to do those over and over again. So I don't always work things out through the journaling process, but when I can phrase things in an empowering way and ask a question in an empowering way, and I can get my card reading and I can read through that, then I can usually discern, okay, this is getting to the heart of the matter and what the issue is for me, or where I need to go and ask for more resources to help me get past the shadow side of what I'm working through, or whether or not I need to go to Brooke and talk it out, or my husband, you know. So I think there are so many different ways, and it's going to be unique for every individual on how they work through things. And, you know, some people may be able to journal something and get that answer right away. And like Brooke said, you may not get an answer at all, which is an answer. But I don't think I answered your question at all. I don't have a definitive process for that.
It just, you open.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people that we interviewed so many people, and we continue to do those interviews. I think we've done almost 70 or 80 total since we started this 3 years ago. And we offer so many different resources, not because we want to just keep throwing them at people, but because some people resonate with one, they don't resonate with another, or they might use this tool today for this issue or whatever's coming up for them. And then 6 months down the road, that tool doesn't work for them anymore. And so that's why I think, and I love the education process of constant learning. And you're like we talked about before, you're always up leveling and you're always changing. So you could listen to a conversation or read a book from 5 years ago that is going to resonate with you in a different way now, because you're at a different point in your life and a different level.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. Brooke, did you want to say something?
Yeah. So I don't do this every day, but when there's, let's say I'm triggered or I have something that's like, occupying my mind. And I speak about this in our interview, and Tammy and I interviewed each other. And it's inspired by one of my mentors, Sharon Wilson, who has her own process in energy management, but I like to call it a conscious complaint form, where I get to acknowledge what's good, because you mentioned the gratitude, but then you sometimes just need to dust bust, soul dust. You need to tell the truth about what's going on. And sometimes you just need to say the WTFs and whatever expletives you need to use and get it out. Tell the truth. Yeah. And so I'll just be like, WTF, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of that, I'm frustrated about this, I hate that, and this and that. It's especially fun on a full moon, because that's when we go, but I just let it rip, because it's a way to get it out. And then it's clear. It's like all the cobwebs are out. And then I ask in my journal for these feelings to be removed. And then I say how I want to feel. And then I ask, what's my divine inspired action? What's my next divinely inspired action? And usually an answer will come. And like I said, sometimes nothing will come. And one of the practices that can be helpful in doing this over and over again is, when you see the shift, you acknowledge, like, I feel 1% better. So you could say, thank you for releasing that. Like, even if you're like, oh, I can't believe she did this. I can't believe blah, blah, blah. They can't, I said I was going to have Christmas, blah, 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 whatever, all the drama, the human fun party, stuff. But yeah, so it's very helpful to have a healthy way to vent versus staying in the complaint. And then it's just like more manifestation of the complaint. But if you I give myself permission to complain, and then I say how I want to feel next, then I shift it. But I can't manifest under a dirty rug. if the dirt, you might look beautiful on the top, but if you don't dust under the rug, it's there and it's then staticky. So that's what I do when I'm just feeling I don't have a committed listener. I just let it rip in that journal and, it gets an earful. So
That's awesome. I love that. I love the authenticity and just being real, because it's so important. And then it is so clear. You're that clear vessel. I love it. It's beautiful.
yeah.
So, how have you ladies followed your intuition to greater income? I know you've done a lot, but I'm just like looking for the specific ways that you were able to do that and watch it just serve people, right? You've served a lot of people. So, yeah, how do you want to share more about that? Just how people could follow that process?
Yeah, I think because Brooke and I are connectors and we have networked and been in this industry for so long. I mean, almost, 2 to 3 decades. I'm dating us a little bit there, but we've met so many people. We get on the phone, we get to know people, we like to talk to people, and you can usually get a feeling for if that person is someone that you're really going to want to work with, if they're authentic, if they're going to follow up and do what they say they're going to do. A lot of people will clearly, it's like if they tell you something, believe them. If they show you something, really believe them, because they're going to show you with their actions. And that's one of the things that I like to teach when we're teaching some of the courses or workshops and training, is to under promise and over deliver. So I look for those indications, but it's also a gut feeling of, is this person really authentic? Is what they're telling me true? And then are they going to be a good match for this client or this client or this client? Because we have at any time between 5 and 10 clients that we work with, plus, our own offers. So yeah, I think it's a matter of going back and then feeling into that and saying, I think this person, this person, like we'll make a list for when we go to work with a new client or we're working a launch, and we'll say, we think these people are going to be a good match. And so we'll make this huge list, and then we'll each go through it and refine it and say, no, I'm not getting the feeling that this person is going to be a good match. We're going to take that one off for now. Or this one might be a better match for this person over here. So, and we don't want to bombard them with, too much at this moment. So let's come back to that one later. And I think we do that in every single moment and every single interaction that we have with people. And it's usually pretty quick because we're connected.
Yeah.
It's not like we have to turn it on and off.
Yeah. Well, the truth, and you say connected. Like for me, I drop in, is this true? We all know what truth feels like. You can even like try your name. Like, my name is Abby. That's true for me. My name is Tammy. Nope. That's Tammy. Right. So we know the truth and to trust it. And I love what you said about show me, don't tell me. And yeah, it's personal, but like my partner, he would show me instead of tell me, because people would be like, I love you. And he like wouldn't for the longest time. And I'm like, but you're showing me, right? And then when he did, it felt amazing. And it's so much more powerful to be like, you are the example of intuition. You are the example of truth. And then people trust it because you're living it. That's what we were talking about, living intuition. It's a life force, so trusting that connection that So yeah.
And I think it's also when you get that feeling of some, like, whether you can't even describe it, it might be I don't know about this, or some kind of negative reaction or a feeling in your gut that makes you pause, then listen to that as well, because that's your body trying to give you signs that that's not the right way to go.
Right. Yep. 100%. And then it can soften and you can get a little more information and then know too. We actually have a class on the intuitive pause. Yeah. Because you need to become a little more aware maybe in that moment. Yeah. I love that. And I feel like it works in business and in personal, right? Like any business relationship, any personal relationship, just feel it, connect in. I love that you said that, you said something like connect in, like, and then trust that flow because it's carrying you. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from a practical level, collaboration is always the fastest way for income. And then when you put intuition into the mix, collaboration doesn't have to look like doing a joint venture. Collaboration could be like, oh, someone you've worked with before and saying, hey, do you have anyone that you would like to refer to me? Or, making that ask. And I think that, sometimes you might pass someone on the street or you're on the train with someone and you think to yourself, I really like their dress, but you don't tell them.
Yeah.
Well, I would invite you to experiment, if it's safe, whatever, trust your vibes. But there's been times when I'm in the train, I'm like, oh my God, I love her outfit. I'm going
Yeah.
to tell her I love her outfit. And then we strike up a conversation. And then I had medicine for her and she had medicine for me. And it doesn't always have to look like a direct accent. The intuition could be an indirect access to income. Like I knew someone that she needed to work with. And then she's like, oh, I have someone that I want to refer to you. So it could be a direct from the intuition, or it could be indirect, or you can end up with a beautiful new friend that like gives you richness
Yeah.
in your life, which you can't put a price on that.
Yeah.
And so richness doesn't always have to look like dollars. You can have karmic income. You could be like the best person, then all of a sudden out of nowhere you get a tax refund. So I think like what it might not be this direct linear path, or it might be, but I just wanted to put that in the space as, sometimes you can notice something. I read this article in the Post, that I'm East Coast, and it was about this guy who wrote a book, and he put, he hid treasures all over the United States, and he had this whimsical jewelry that you can win. And at the time, I was working for a Madison Avenue jeweler in New York who had very whimsical jewelry, and I was like, oh my God, they might make a great partnership. Next day, I see the book in my dad's office. I said, what is this doing here? He said, oh, my wife plays tennis with the guy, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I could have just let it go. I didn't. I didn't ask my stepmother to introduce me. I went and Googled his press office and I said, oh, P.S. my stepmom plays tennis with your wife, and then we had a phone conversation. And the next thing you know, we did this whole partnership where we had a big event at Harrods, and I could have easily passed that moment by and not followed it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those times when I get those little intuitive hits, a lot of times it leads to nowhere, but when sometimes it leads to these magical moments. And so that's the curiosity and the fun and the game to play, is just to, okay, I'm just going to follow that and see where it leads. So
Well, there's a couple things about that. Number one is that's your innate gift in knowing. So you were doing that however long ago that was. Your gift is connecting people. So intuition it's opening you to your innate gifts that you're naturally good at. And so that's why in the course we talk about monetizing them. Not everybody has to, but I believe as spiritual entrepreneurs, we're meant to do that for each other, because as we take care of ourselves and other people, it just grows because we're living who we're meant to be. So I love that you were listening to that. And then you said, intuition was, leading to one thing to the next, or sometimes nowhere. Quick thing, maybe you just aren't aware yet of where the nowhere is, because it's probably affecting somebody in a good way. Secondarily, you and Tammy and I all connected through our friend Karen. So we originally are, talking about an app or doing cards for the intuitive child, yet this interview is happening, right? So it's like, because of Karen, that my partner's intuition to connect with Karen then led me to you, right? So it's one thing to the next. So to just really highlight that point that you were saying, that it's leading you somewhere and that divine order is happening. That's something Sonia Choquette talks about. I remember, man, I was her student at first, and then she endorsed a product, but I think it was this first or second training. I was like locked up. I couldn't dance because I was like raised in this fundamental Christian church where you shouldn't move. And she's like, get on that stage. And until I could move my hips, and then finally it just unleashed itself, and that energy just came through. So it's like I knew I needed to be there, and then I started speaking, right? So it's like sometimes we need that person to see us too, right? So that's why being part of the club or joining the self-love, like, be seen. Like, how can you follow your intuition to be seen for who you are? Because when you see yourself and other people see you, you light up, right? So there you go.
I loved all those points, Abby, and I especially love the part about you talking about how the intuition brings you back to just being in your natural state, and how you can't do anything wrong from that state.
Right. 100%. And you can trust it. You can
Yeah.
trust yourself. 100%. Wow. Well, I know we're starting to run out of time, or not run out of time, just starting to complete this part of the interview. I would love for you to share the Self Love series link where people can learn more. And before you do, why would they want to sign up for that? What are 3 reasons why they want to say yes to that? Because we know, but I would love the audience to learn a little bit more about it.
Awesome. So the link is www.selfloveandselfcare.com/Abby, ABBY. And you get 10 days with 36 of the world's top experts on self-love and self-care, absolutely free. So the first 10 days after you opt in, you get several interviews each day. You can go in and watch as many as you want, as few as you want. Just pick the ones that resonate the best with you at this moment. And you'll be able to go through the whole series and listen to people like we talked about, Sonia Choquette, who talks about trust your vibes and intuition. We have Justin Fairman and Jackie Knechtel, which Brooke talked about living in flow for a prosperous life. We have Dee Wallace, who talks about how to heal yourself from the inside out with self-love. Dr. Debbie Silber, who talks about how taking crisis and turning it into your greatest gift. So I think there's something there for everyone. And I think it's going to be exactly what you're looking for, an answer to what you're looking for at this moment.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I'm like, I want the course. How can I get access?
What's amazing is also it's an incredible way to practice intuition, because each day you get, a bunch of interviews to choose from, and then you can tune in and say which one resonates with me the most right now.
Yeah.
After the 10 days are over, we do give people an opportunity to purchase. And what the benefit of that is one, it's going to help with the not-for-profit organization to help children around the world. But what we've done is we've separated out that each expert gives a 5-minute exercise that are really amazing. And so what we've done is we've separated out the exercises. I mean, how many times have you listened to an interview and then the person gave like a meditation or exercise, and you're like, I have to listen to this whole interview again to get to the exercise? So we've really separated it out, and we put a bunch of bonuses together. There's no obligation. You will enjoy it for free. But if you feel guided, we do give you that invitation. And it doesn't say that at the end, but we wanted to let you know that every purchase goes towards changing a child's life. And that really feels good. And then you can practice your intuition about how you can add more self-love and self-care into your life. And yeah, so Abby, thank you for the opportunity to offer this and to have more impact. So
Yeah, you're welcome. And just so everybody knows what they're talking about, the organization is called One Heart Global. So you can go to www.oneheartglobal.co. And so what we do is we go to different orphanages around the world. We help provide homes of love and safety for them, and also the intuitive education. So we have something called the intuitivechild.co. You can find out more about that there. And so we're teaching them from the inside out how to access their intuition, believe in themselves, and live their dreams. So yeah, just such a special project. And so a lot of the proceeds from this summit and show are going towards that. And we're working on building a wellness center, which is like partially done in Australia right now. So yeah, it's this beautiful organization. If you feel called, you can also just donate directly on that site. And I invite you to read the mission, look at the pictures, the videos. I was in Ecuador not last March, but the March before that, right in the middle of COVID. And you can just see a lot of just interactions with the kids. They're just so beautiful. So thank you all for being here. If you want to know anything more about intuition, you can go to lifeforceconnection.com. We have classes and programs there. Tammy and Brooke, anything else that you want to share with us before we log off for the day?
You go, Brooke.
what I want to share is, even though at sometimes life can get dark, we all have the light switch to turn on at any moment.
I love that, Brooke. So beautiful and profound. Yeah. Feeling you, sister, Brookster. Love it.
Yeah, and I just want to, I should have let Brooke go last because that was more beautiful than what I'm being guided to say.
There, Tammy.
I'm being guided to say, ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Ask for what you want. Ask for what you need.
Yeah. I love that. Wow. So with that, we invite you all to ask for what you want, what you need. Let these things be tools that inspire you. Let our love support you, and just be who you are, because the world needs you exactly as you are. All right.
Thank you, Abby.
Bye, everyone. You're welcome. Bye.